It's Thursday night in the A. You know what that means. Kelly Price and Tori McElhaney is coming at you on Rise Up Tonight, presented by AT&T.
It's Kelly and Tori coming at you for a very special pregame edition of Rise Up Tonight on this Thursday evening. I'm really pumped for this one. How are we feeling, Tori?
I mean, the Falcons are 2-2, kind of right where we thought they would be, and we got a primetime slot coming up, so can't complain.
Another one. It feels like we've been in the slot quite a bit lately. Well, a win is a win, especially when it comes at the expense of your rivals. So the Falcons back at 500, but the Buccaneers here tonight looking to cement their place atop the NFC South. Let's huddle up about it, y'all.
Let's huddle up with Kelly and Tori on the world of Falcons football.
Can we all have a moment of appreciation for Koo? The Falcons really put the special in special teams on Sunday, scoring 20 of Atlanta's 26 points. And the exclamation point for the third phase of this team came off a booming career-long 58-yard Younghoe Koo kick. I love seeing all the social media reaction to Koo and just getting the love he actually deserves. He's proven to be one of the most clutch kickers in the game. And at this point, he has literally been the difference between wins and losses so many times for the Falcons, Tori.
Okay, so I'm not usually a petty person, Kelly, but when it comes to Younghoe Koo, I'm going to be petty for a quick second. Remember in the preseason when everyone was freaking the freak out because Younghoe Koo missed a field goal, a couple of field goals, a few field goals in a game that didn't matter? Remember when y'all came at me on socials because I said I wasn't worried about Koo and that these takes of him being quote-unquote washed were unfounded? Yeah, consider this resting my case.
Tori came with the receipts. I love it. Well, we saw Younghoe Koo a lot because, as I'm sure I don't need to remind any of y'all, the Falcons' offense did not find the end zone once on Sunday. There were a lot of issues for the Falcons on that side of the ball. The Saints had beat the Falcons in first downs, total yards, and time of possession. Atlanta just 36% on third downs. But the ultimate killer that a lot of the Falcons this week we've talked to have identified wanting to fix 9 penalties for 76 yards, 3 of which ruined promising drives.
So I'm about to throw some numbers at you guys. Are you ready? Okay, get this. The Falcons have been penalized 13 times as an offense. In 10 of those times, the post-penalty mark-off put the Falcons in a situation that required a play of 11 or more yards to get a first down. Wow. 11 of those 13 penalties have come on first or second down, hence the long yardage situations. When the Falcons talk about the penalty problem, this right here, those numbers is exactly what they're referring to.
So today will mark the Falcons' 4th game in 18 days. And don't Tori and I know it. It's been a long stretch, y'all. But this is another big one. The division-leading Buccaneers, they're 3-1. They have looked real good outside of a hiccup against Denver. But talking to some of the Falcons, they really feel they've been battle-tested as well and are kind of ready for these kinds of challenges. It can't be undersold that none of their first 4 opponents had losing seasons last year, and none has a losing record today. What do you think is the hardest part of such a quick turnaround like this for a divisional game?
So I think it's the fact that there has been no mental or physical reprieve for the Falcons team, right? Every game has come down to one score, the final minutes of the fourth quarter. They're having to play back-to-back divisional opponents who offensively have been firing on all cylinders so far in 2024. That takes a mental and physical toll. But everyone knew this was going to be the case going into the season. You knew how tough the first 5 weeks of the season would be with 3 primetime slots queued up. Well, you're in it. And quick turnaround or not, you got to be ready because, let's be honest, there's nothing is stopping the 3-1 Bucs from coming to town.
Time now for week 4 of Walkin' In, presented by Wells Fargo. First off, we got to start with some more new merch.
New merch.
Hot off the press here, y'all. 66 collection pays tribute to the franchise's first season. The design inspired by the diamond-patterned end zones on the old Atlanta Stadium field. We're actually going to see that today at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This is from 1966 and 67 that they had this design. My favorite part of these new merch collection story is that you just can wear this whether it's game day, whether it's not, and you're going to look fly.
It's always like Christmas morning for Kelly and I every time that new merch collection drops. And can I just say, I personally really like the windbreaker.
Yes.
It's honestly, it may be one of my favorite designs and executions to date.
And if you guys want to cop some of these limited edition looks before the game tonight, you'll match the end zones that we'll be seeing in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium tonight. That is super dope. Can't wait to see that. Either drop by one of the team stores or shop online at atlantafalcons.com/team store. A new face on the Falcons defense, a new face on Walkin' In. Welcome in Matthew Judon. A wholesome statement is what jumps out here on the sweater, but what I love most is the ascot. Is that what we call this like scarf situation? He's mixing the ripped jeans, the modern streetwear kind of look with this classic twist on the statement piece.
Ladies and gentlemen, the little ascot / scarf situation goes to show that even the smallest of accessories can elevate a look, and it really does bring the whole look to a new level.
It's so good, I'm literally speechless and can't talk. Another week, another Justin Simmons slay, Tori. He is consistent off the field as he is on it. A pattern matching suit, or is it a suit if it's this like cool moto jacket situation? I'm not sure about the semantics, but you know, it doesn't matter because I love it either way.
If there's one thing that Justin Simmons is going to do, it's match from head to toe. Like, how many of these suits are we going to get this year? Does he have one for every single game? And if so, I cannot wait to keep track of this.
I appreciate the consistency. Well, tonight, number 2 goes into the Falcons' Ring of Honor. We reflect on Matt Ryan's lasting legacy on the franchise later in the show.
And as Hurricane Helene relief efforts continue throughout the Southeast, the NFL family is committed to making a difference. That story is coming up next on Rise Up Tonight.
Rise Up Tonight is presented by AT&T and brought to you by Georgia Lottery. Today could be the day. By Mercedes-Benz, the best of nothing. And by Home Depot, how doers get more done. Falcons fans, do you ever wonder what's really on your favorite player's mind? It's time for Question of the Week, brought to you by Zaxby's, Famous Fingers and Sauces.
Which teammate would you send as an ambassador to aliens as the human race's ambassador?
To aliens?
Yes.
Oh, Richie Grant.
That was super cool.
Yeah, we're going to get Richie out there. I don't know, man. That's a hard one. You know, because of the communication skills, he's going to demand answers, but he's goofy enough to talk to him. I'm sending Kirk Cousins up there.
Let's go with Bijan because that would be a perfect first impression of a human. Like, just so nice and just filled with grace, you know?
Maybe AK Arnold. He just seemed like he got a easy going with all kind of people, animals, stuff like that. I don't know. If you know AK, man, you probably know what I'm saying, man. But yeah, he a funny looking dude too, so he might look like the aliens too. So.
Aliens.
Zoe?
Yeah. Why is that? That was quick.
Yeah, I can kind of feel like he might know a little something about aliens. If you know
relate to the aliens or something.
Yeah, I mean, they probably land on his farm and then like try to mess with the animals. You
That's
know?
fair.
You see that in the movies and stuff.
Sounds like we've got quite a few options there, so that's good.
The right answer is Bijan, though. Like the point that Drake was making about the perfect person.
Yeah,
it's Bijan.
Could get along with anyone.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about how much Bijan Robinson's usage in this offense has been great at times, but this week it's all about our favorite little bowling ball, y'all. Tyler Algier had 8 carries, but they totaled 60 yards and 7.5 yards per carry average. This on top of 2 catches for 20 yards. And you wrote in your notebook this week about what's led to his success, even in a small sample size.
Yes, okay, so you do know how Kelly and I love to call Tyler our favorite little bowling ball, as Kelly said, and for good reason. Like a bowling ball smashing into pins to knock them over and out of the way, that's really how Tyler runs, and that absolutely shows up time and time again when you turn on the film. But what also can't be missed is the usage of misdirection in the play call itself. The Falcons have used pre-snap motion or bunching personnel to one side and having the blocking scheme go opposite to keep the middle linebackers honest. It's worked at multiple points in every single game for the Falcons and Tyler Algier, to the tune of Tyler Algier averaging over 6 yards per carry so far in 2024.
And as so many are just beginning the recovery process in the wake of Hurricane Helene, I'm reminded of one of my all-time favorite quotes by none other than Mr. Rogers. Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. And the National Football League had plenty of helpers from its family on display this week as disaster relief continues. Time to rise up for Atlanta, brought to you by Truist. Throughout the NFL family, $8 million have been donated to Hurricane Helene relief efforts led by contributions from teams and ownership groups like the Falcons, Panthers, Texans, Bucs, as well as the NFL Foundation. In partnership with the Falcons, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation has provided World Central Kitchen with a $2 million grant to provide Georgians affected with emergency meals. The NFL is also partnering with the American Red Cross to provide meals and shelter to those in need. To get involved yourself, head to redcross.org/NFL.
Carr going to try and make a quick throw, batted in the air, intercepted. Anderson's got it. 35-30, 25-20, 10-5, touchdown Atlanta.
4-4, showing that 4-4 speed on the pick six. We'll talk more about Troy Anderson's career Sunday during You Like That at the end of the show.
And as the one and only Matt Ryan prepares to go into the Falcons' Ring of Honor tonight, we'll look back at a conversation I had with him this offseason and hear from one of his teammates on the lasting impact number 2 had.
Welcome back to Rise Up Tonight. Let's head in the nest with Kelly, Tori, and this week's special guest, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz.
So this week we're doing something a little different with this portion of the show, because it's not every week that one of the very best to ever put on your team's uniform is being enshrined in the franchise's Ring of Honor. Tonight, that's exactly what we'll see when Matt Ryan puts on that red jacket in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's impossible to understate the impact that he's had on and off the field in Atlanta. And I think something that can sum it up is when I asked Arthur Blank a few weeks ago what his favorite Falcons memory was, he said it was drafting Matt Ryan. And Tori, when we announced that, when he announced that he was going to be retiring in the spring, you got a chance to sit down with him and really reflect on his career. What kind of stood out about that conversation?
How important he was to the franchise from the start of his career to the end of it. It's one of those things that maybe you don't really even realize how good the good old days were until you're no longer in them. And from the beginning, Matt Ryan gave everything to this organization, even when the critics were loud. And that actually was from the very beginning too. Take a listen.
I went back and I watched your very first press conference after your first year in the league.
Okay.
So January 2009.
All right.
Now, what was so interesting is that in that, and I have it right here, it says, I feel like my life has been on fast forward for the last 18 months.
Yeah.
And what this whole entire day is just hitting rewind on all of it. So for you, let's go back to the beginning. April 2008, the Falcons call your name, and you get the opportunity to come to Atlanta and start your career here. At that time, I feel like it was held by many that this was a risky pick, and that was actually something that you said in that 2009 interview. Why did you even feel that way, and how did that change and evolve as your career did, but especially in those first few years?
Yeah, I think, the climate of drafting quarterbacks was different at that time, and so there was a significant financial investment in that the rookie slot had not been put in place, and so if you were going to end up taking a quarterback early, it was going to be a significant portion of the cap at that time and big investment. And I remember there being pushback about the contract that I signed at that time, and things have continued to evolve and change. So there was the risk in it from that portion. And historically, drafting quarterbacks, in the first round or the top 10 picks, I mean, it's like a 50-50 proposition. So you understand kind of the risk element, from there, and then the financial risk element that they have to go through or had to go through at that time. So that was part of it. And then, part of it was, Michael Vick had been here prior to it, and there was that year interim between Mike and myself, and just the icon that he was in our city. There was just a lot, floating around at that time, and to a certain extent, I understood it, and probably those comments from 2009 and 2008, are saying that, and in a lot of ways, I didn't understand the full gravity of it either, being 23 years old and focused on, what I needed to focus on at the time. And so it was risky, and I'm thankful to, Arthur Blank and Mike Smith and Thomas Dimitroff for having the confidence to make that decision at the time. And I always felt it was my job to make it work. And, I needed to do everything that I could, day in and day out to make them right. And I'm proud of the way that I went about that at the time. And, certainly signing 3 contracts, here in Atlanta and playing for 14 years, I think it was worth the risk.
It's crazy to think that only 11 guys on this current Atlanta Falcons roster shared a locker room with Matt Ryan in his final year here in 2021. One of those guys, A.J. Terrell, who had 2 seasons to observe Matt Ryan, a legend he had looked up to having grown up watching the Falcons as an Atlanta native. I talked to A.J. about the lasting impact Matty Ice had on him, even from the other side of the ball.
Especially now with you being older on the team and seeing how Kirk now leads, like when you look back at what Matt brought to this team when you were on it as a young guy, what do you kind of remember about him?
Ultimate leader. It wasn't the best season I had with him. My rookie year, we went 4-12, but him just facing all the adversity and keeping his head high, and his resume speak for itself before I got here. So I definitely had a whole lot of respect and still do for him. But just me being a teammate with him, just seeing him come in, day out, be accountable for the team and stand up and take all the shots and stuff we had and go out there every Sunday and, try to come up with a W. Just let me know who he is, and definitely he deserves everything that's coming his way. So definitely got love for Matt.
I know so many of these guys on this team now didn't play with him, obviously. Seeing a guy like that go in the Ring of Honor who's kind of like recently retired, was recently in the game, they probably watched him growing up and stuff, like your teammates, just like you did. Does anyone ever talk about him like, hey, this guy's, he's pretty much a legend here in Atlanta?
Me being from here, I done had a whole lot of outside of teammates, a lot of family friends. He got a whole bunch of love in the city. A lot of fans and people I know, feel he is the greatest thing walking. Especially for Atlanta. So, and then seeing Kirk come in and be vocal and a leader as well, just gave me flashes of Matt. They both just have a high standard for how they take control of the team, and he just very deserving.
Hey Atlanta, this is Head Crack talking, and you watching Rise Up Tonight, presented by AT&T.
Content all day. Big Kirko wakes up dripping like this.
Cousins with the chain.
Oh yeah! I love it. You want to see me jog? Here we go. I'm jogging. You like that? You like that?
And while you may think this chain should go to Young Wei Koo, and that's fair, Tori and I are ready to bestow this swag upon our favorite Montana man, Troy Anderson. Have yourself a day, sir. Career high 16 total tackles. His first pick 6. He was just all over the place on Sunday. You get this, Troy?
And he's the newly appointed NFC Defensive Player of the Week, no less. He was a difference maker for this Falcons team on Sunday, with the help of Matthew Judon, of course. But now the Falcons have to worry about Troy not being out there tonight against the Bucs. He's been ruled out of the game with a knee injury. Stepping in for him will be rookie J.D. Bertrand. Talk about a trial by fire with Baker and the Bucs on tap.
No kidding. And let's talk about them for a second. Even with some new faces in Tampa and in Atlanta, lots of familiarity on both sides of the sidelines tonight between these coaches, these systems, these players. When you think about Baker Mayfield and Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris in LA a couple years ago, that crazy night that he had playing for the Rams when he came in on like a Thursday and balled out. How much do you think that helps, for example, the Falcons defense preparing for Baker Mayfield and this Bucs offense with a short week on tap?
If you're going to play on a short week, you might as well play someone like the back of your hand. And this Falcons team, especially this defense, knows what they can expect from the Bucs coming up tonight. And I do think that matters. And it's going to matter as you look at what this game could present with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, 100%. And of course Baker coming to town.
Well, it's going to be a really good one. Thanks for catching us a little earlier tonight. Stay tuned for our pregame show coming up next. We'll see you next week.